Good evening. The Scottish economy is hovering close to recession, according to the latest government figures. They show output fell during the last 3 months of last year and fell well behind UK growth. That continues a trend of lower growth here. Our business and economy editor Douglas Fraser assesses the impact on us all.
It takes a microscope to find signs of growth at this business, Reprocel, in the north of Glasgow. And as the Finance Secretary's learning, evidence of economic growth isn't that easy to identify either. Bioscience, such as testing potential drugs on live human tissue, is one of the hopes for the future of the Scottish economy. It'll need something inventive to shake it out of the near stagnation of the past year. Today's figures cover the final 3 months of last year, with the output from the whole Scottish economy falling by 0.2%. Production, construction down most, the services sector flat. Compare that with 0.7% growth for the UK economy as a whole. Take the whole of the year, 2016 saw the Scottish economy grow by only 0.4%. Very weak growth. The UK economy growing more than 4 times faster. Why? Well, the downturn in oil and gas is a likely culprit. The Scottish Government says it's also got a lot to do with consumer confidence following the Brexit referendum decision, even though that affects all of the UK.
Well, it seems to be contrasting between Scotland and the rest of the UK. I mean, maybe the people of Scotland have had more information, awareness of the impact that it's going to have on the Scottish economy. And of course there's a different attitude to Europe. There are still strong economic foundations to our economy in Scotland. There is still growth in 2016.
Slow growth has to do with choices made by business, but the challenge is to government.
If that shrinking of the Scottish economy is repeated at the start of 2017, then we'll be in a recession. Now, that's troubling for a number of reasons, but it's a real call to action, I think, for the UK and Scottish governments.
These growth figures ought to really signal a red alert to government at all levels, and its response to that ought to be a recognition that businesses need support to grow, that we need a competitive economy in Scotland and competitive taxes in Scotland.
Forging change in Scotland's finances, income tax divergence from the rest of the UK begins tomorrow with the new financial year. And for 2017, there are some signs the economic engine's sparking better, but not by much. Inflation's back, putting a squeeze on household budgets. The factor continuing to weigh on the economy is uncertainty.
Well, Douglas is here. Douglas, these are quarterly figures, so how significant are they?
Well, it may look like an abstract statistic, about 3 months, a fraction of 1% doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's a vital measure for the economy, partly because it compiles over time to have a big effect, and it affects jobs, pay levels, prosperity, our place in the world, what we can afford and imports. Scottish growth used to lag that of the rest of the UK. It caught up last decade, it matched the UK average for years, but it's now been falling behind for about 2 years, roughly matching the point at which the oil downturn started. But if that continues, it'll have an impact on the new income tax revenues that come to Holyrood from tomorrow. You could hear some of the reasons why the problem might be there. Nobody knows for sure. There's also the question of whether we research and innovate enough. Do we do enough to start up companies and to grow our companies? Are people well enough managed here? Efficiently managed as well? And there's the politics of this as well. The Scottish Government has treated growth, this figure in particular, as its main target. For 10 years it's been in power. But if it's blaming the Brexit uncertainty for one reason for Scotland diverging and falling behind, there's also the question of the other constitutional issue and whether that is putting a bit of a chill on consumer confidence and business investment, and that, of course, is independence.
Thank you very much, Douglas.